Russell Crowe is the Pope's exorcist. When an American family inherits a church in Spain, Russell Crowe's exorcist is called in to check things out when, well, one of the children gets possessed. Along the way is a very generic, typical exorcist movie. There's a lot of them now, so much so that it might as well be a subgenre of horror. This one is actually not one of the bad ones though. This one's actually pretty good for the most part. It builds up suspense well, there's lots of surprises, there's a mystery at its core about who's possessing this young boy. And a lot of that really gets interesting towards the midpoint when they start to delve into the history of the place. The problem is that the back end of the movie, the final act of the movie, the final 20 minutes or so, is really quite bad. The scale and scope of it is amped up big time. The action, the set pieces, the CGI, it all builds and builds and builds to the point where it just becomes a bit too silly at that point, and a little too generic. It starts to become an action movie at that point, and it just doesn't feel or sit right. One of the saving graces of this movie is Russell Crowe in the lead role. Russell Crowe manages to make his exorcist character very likable, very charming. There's a degree of levity with pretty much everything he says. There's a degree of confidence about him. It's a very good performance and a really well-made character, I would say. The film is also very good looking. The sets and the core environment that it's set in is all very well realized and really does a good job at setting itself apart from other horror movies of its like, in that it looks real, it looks grounded, it looks believable. I would have liked a bit more exploration of the environment in which it's set in, but the film doesn't do that. Overall, The Pope's Exorcist is a sometimes tense, sometimes jump scare filled horror movie. It doesn't do anything new or original, but Russell Crowe's central performance is good, and his character is very entertaining and very charming. The movie does fall apart in the last 20 minutes or so, when it does have nowhere else to go except to keep amping things up, to keep building up, to keep getting bigger and better, and it just doesn't work, quite frankly. So overall, not bad, surprisingly good for the most part, but disappointing by the end.